I'm Michael DeBry, and for this last semester, I internship with Haskell Construction. So Haskell Construction is a company out of Jacksonville, Florida originally, but they do have an office in Salt Lake City, which was where I was based out of. There I was a APM and procurement manager for them. That's what I was most of the summer or I guess for spring semester. I worked with the JCLDS, or Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, part of the office, which included the DMI temples and also the temples in the Philippines. What I would do is I would create these purchasing consideration sheets for future interns at the Haskell company, where I would kind of just list by list instructions of each individual scope and how to bid them out, because bidding is one of the most important things I learned. I guess obviously bidding is important, but being on top of it and knowing how to do it the right way and following people up was a great skill that I learned. I would spend most of my days responding to emails from people from the Philippines, needing to follow up the subcontractors that we had here in the States, the vendors. So basically I served as the middleman. I was the guy that would be contacted by the people in the Philippines for their needs and what they needed from us here in the States and from the subcontractors here in the States, because there was very few scopes that we bid out to companies outside the United States, mainly because they're temples, so they have the same bidders most of the time for each scope. I would be the middleman, calling the subcontractors and vendors here in the States and seeing where they're at, how I could help them make their job easier so we can get what the PM needed in the Philippines. We spent many days visiting, because like I said, we're in Salt Lake City. Most of the vendors for temples are here in Salt Lake City or around Salt Lake, so we would spend some days going visiting them. And that was actually really enjoyable, because for the first couple of weeks I was just calling these people saying, hey, this is Mikey with Haskell, and then I would ask them all those questions. But then finally I was able to meet them in person, see a face to the name, and it became a lot more personal and a lot more enjoyable to call them and have a normal conversation instead of just demanding things. It was personal and it was enjoyable. So I was able to work a lot with people in the office, but also outside the office, and it was nice to have a fulfilling role in the process. And another part of my day, after calling those people, following up with them, to fill time for ready for responses, I would upload the architectural, civil, structural, all types of drawings to a program called Procore. And Procore is the program that Haskell uses to do everything. Scheduling, I guess they use P6, but drawings, specs, photos for timelines. I'm not sure if other companies use Procore or how common that is, but that's what we used, and I use that every single day. And yeah, that was a lot of what my normal day looked like. I mean, part of my day was near the end of the day, I always set time aside to move desks around, because we were expanding our offices, and everyone just pitched in a little bit each day to help that. One of the highlights of my summer was an internship summit. So Haskell flew out all their interns from across the nation to Jacksonville to participate in this internship 3-day training full of workshops, and it was super amazing actually. So we fly into Jacksonville. We get to ride their yacht. It's more like a big fishing boat, I would say, but hey, it's pretty nice. Pretty nice, pretty nice. And then we just talked with everyone. And for the past couple of weeks, we've been meeting with a little group to come up with a pitch to present to Haskell, to the CEO and the main people up top. And this pitch was idea to help the workers at Haskell provide, reach their goal of what's called Haskell 2025, which is where Haskell wants to be in 2025 with being super efficient, time management, team oriented, and things like that. So we did a pitch and went really well. Winner got $3,000. Sadly, we didn't win, but it was a great experience. It was fun to get out and about and meet other people in the company and see what other projects they are doing. Because I was mainly focused on temples, which I'm grateful for, but the Haskell does so many other wonderful things. And yeah, but that's kind of just an overview of what I did this summer. It was really exciting. Some highlights and skills and techniques that I learned was just enjoy the work. I mean, some days were long and hard because there was kind of just waiting for people to respond to texts or emails that I sent them, or calls or emails that I sent them. But I just found joy in the little things. Like I always kept myself busy. I was able to learn so many different programs, especially Procore, which I use daily, Building Connected, P6. I have not taken the scheduling class yet, but I'm taking that in the fall. And I don't know what BYU Idaho teaches, but I do know how to use P6 to an extent. Obviously, I'm not a pro. I learned the little things. Another great thing was I learned to call people. I mean, I wasn't the biggest caller. I would just send a text, be like, yo, and text, but I learned to call people, to talk to people face to face, and it was just a lot more enjoyable. I found that out. One of the biggest takeaways is you need to follow up with people. I mean, the subcontractors and the vendors we're working with, I was talking to them, they've been working on like 15 to 20 temples at the same time. So if you just call them, talk with them for like 10, 15 minutes, get things sorted out, it's not that it's hard for them to do. It's just they need to set time aside. So if you do that, then boom, 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 you get the things you need and they can move on. Keeping organized was something just a general thing that I needed, that I learned, and it's really cool. My sponsor, I guess, or my boss, he showed me a way to organize my emails, my notes, things like that, just so I know exactly where everything is. And yeah, it's really helped me with that. Time management was a big thing because we are on a time crunch for most of these temples, just because we don't want to get behind, and the critical timeline is super important in projects like this. So just finding the things that needed to be done that day and focusing on them until I got them done. One of the cool thing about working with people in the Philippines, I served my mission there in the Philippines, so I was able to use my language, use Tagalog to communicate with people over there. It was hard because I had late nights talking to them about different problems they were having, and early mornings because of this 14-hour time difference. I was able to develop some critical thinking skills of finding ways to find a better solution and finding alternatives. And that was something that we're still working on, but it has been a wonderful experience and I've loved every second of it. It's had some highs, it had some lows, but overall it's a great learning experience. Loved Haskell, loved the people I worked with, and it's really amazing to have done that. But yeah,